Hello, today's date is Friday, October the 7th, 2016. It's about 10:19 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm just sitting by the campfire drinking a beer, and I got a lot of thoughts on my head. I'm going to put this MGTOW in the title. The name of this video is Most Guys Today Are Not Getting Laid. Okay, I think the title kind of speaks for itself, but I'll get into more detail here. There's a lot of people that live in this thing called the blue pill world we talk about. And it seems that anytime I engage blue pill guys in conversation, and I bring up the get laid thing or the singles, the online personals, inevitably what happens is they say, well, what are you talking about? I don't know what you mean. And of course they say, I always get laid. And then the funny thing is, after this situation happens, they generally don't want to talk to me. This is a weird phenomenon. This has happened to me too many times, even recently. They just decide that they don't want to talk to you. And I talked about this before in my last video and I got a lot of positive responses, that the more honest you are about the way things are today, the more people hate you for it, and the more people want to avoid it. And this getting laid thing is no exception. Now, I know some other people are trolling lately I've been getting some people who are trolling my channel. And they've been leaving smart-ass comments like about how MGTOW is not about getting laid, and you're TFL, and this is MGTOW is different from TFL. And I always say that if guys were not TFL, they wouldn't be MGTOW. So please don't say you're MGTOW, but you're getting laid all the time, because that's bullshit, and you know it. So getting back to what I said earlier about guys, this is, I believe that this is where the rubber hits the road. I think this is why guys are such dicks today. I really do. I think that most men today are such blatant assholes, and they don't know why they're being assholes. They just are. This competition for pussy is just overwhelming, and there's just way more guys competing today. The attrition rate of men is very low right now, and of course you've got all kinds of other things like social media, Facebook, Tinder, all that other stuff. But this subject isn't going to go away, at least in my lifetime. I don't see. I think people are coping with this problem. I'll give you an example. I met a guy fairly recently. I'm not going to say where I met him, how far away he lives from my work, or whether I met him at the gym or not. But he's talking about how he's a single guy, and he plays video games. And I only met him recently, the last couple weeks, and he's telling me he's going to play some. I don't want to even get into this, because he said he was going to play a certain like Duke Nukem type of video game, one of these Joe Macho type of shoot 'em up type of ones. Okay, so you can imagine there's a lot of games out there like that, these online ones. And he was telling me that he didn't know what I was talking about. When I mentioned the getting laid thing about it's hard to get women today. He claims he's been laid in the last, 6 different women in the last year or 6 months, or But he's telling me, then he says, I'm going home to play this video game. You see, that's a red flag right there. Most guys that are playing video games, we know the people. We know Sandman is. I don't know about Sandman. I know TFM is Turfling and Monkey. I know Stardust is a gamer. I mean, most of these gamers are hopelessly TFL, and it's not making fun of them. It is what it is, So, all these TFLers out there, and you can really create. I'm not going to say the kind of enemies. Obviously, the worst kind of enemies are to create are ones that you screw over financially, or you do something like fuck their woman or something. Well, that's the worst kind of enemies you can have. But it's easy to create foes just out of being honest. And I talk about this getting laid subject with a lot of blue pill men, and it doesn't go over real well. And of course, I'm high strung and I talk fast. I know I have a high energy, and Sicilian Joe loves my energy. We've had very close conversations, and he says, "Steve, I love your energy." He has told me countless times that he loves my energy, which is makes me feel good about myself. That I'm not alone here. But this getting laid thing is it's getting to the point where, unless I'm missing something here, I just don't. I'm not convinced that guys are getting laid. I know you're probably a lot of people would say, well, does it matter? Does it really matter? To me, it does, because truth matters. Truth. I like to get to the crux of issues. I want to know, for example, why commercial advertisers don't put people in wheelchairs in their ads. I mean, do people in wheelchairs not spend money? That's the kind of thing that you can confront people with, and they'll get very agitated if that kind of thing. So, you don't see ads with handicapped people in wheelchairs, and being pushed around in Walmart. I mean, occasionally you'll see it, but it's very rare. And you don't see many guys admitting that getting laid is nearly impossible today. They don't want to admit it, and and it's a very sore subject for a lot of guys. I understand it is, but I think that guys need to come to terms with it. Just like if you're ugly, you need to come to terms with the reason why you're not getting women is because you're ugly. And I really get agitated about this, because every time I run into a blue pill guy that I potentially think could be a great friend, and we get into this whole women issue, immediately they start getting defensive, and then things shut down, and before you know it, they don't want to talk to me. And I don't understand the psychology of these people. I really don't. I want to know better. I want to be able to better understand why these people want to break ranks with me as soon as they meet me. I mean, it's like I know I come across as a little bit high energy, and but I don't think that I had one guy tell me this years ago. He goes, people don't like people that are. He was criticizing me. He says, "You're just too goddamn brutally honest." And why is it so wrong? I mean, why is it wrong to be brutally honest about things? Okay. You can do it tactfully. Okay. You don't have to tell a person you're ugly. You can tell them, look, you can do it very. You can tell them that looks matter, and I mean, just using the looks matter. And there's just so many people out there that are just so caught up in this whole thing of denial, and so on. So it gets back to the subject of this video here, and I'm not going to make this long. I'm going to run out of time here. Is that most guys are not getting laid. It's just that simple. They're not getting laid. They're not getting laid. Period. They're not getting laid. Unless they're super good looking, unless they're super Anglo-Saxon looking. I just found out Johnny Depp is mostly of English descent, proving my point again. It just proves my point. And it's all about looks, and it's all about status. And, unless you're super good looking, most guys are not getting laid. I don't know why guys have such a hard time with this subject. I don't know why they just can't admit it, that it's tough. They're not getting, the guys that get porky with me aren't getting laid. They're just making fools of themselves. They're only lying to themselves. So the moral of the story is guys aren't getting laid. So if you're a young guy and you're listening to this self-improvement shtick, I don't think you should worry about that. Burped there, sorry. I think I ate some spaghetti. But I mean, it bothers me that guys are so full of crap. They just are. I mean, they're just full of crap. They don't want to admit the most obvious thing is that they're not getting laid. Looks matter. And like I said, I got into that talk the other day in that fireside chat with Zeta X. And of course, that one guy was trying to convince me that guys who work out at the gym get laid, and nothing could be further from the truth. These ugly meatheads with the elongated mid faces and and big fat craniums, they don't get women. I'm just telling you, they don't. Women don't give a shit about that. They don't. Just like they don't give a shit that I run marathons. They don't give a shit that a guy can play lead guitar like Eddie Van Halen. They don't, so. That's just all I'm going to say.